I'm gonna do this shit again. Oh my god! Imagine not being able to run away from two 800-pound frogs. Well, sorry for all the excessive intros. It's one thing I hate about resetting in this game. The only silver lining is that I get a break just to drink. Yeah, that's something to consider, I suppose. Sure, it probably also has the speed for it, too, considering it's a high-level enemy encounter. Okay. Take that. Okay. Thank you. I'll gladly take that. Barely a sub 480s, okay. 15 aim, pretty good. Sub 630 Aram, pretty good. Better than average. Hello. Wow. Yeah, the appearance of some of these Sinistral fights are a little unassuming. But it turns out Gades is the only one that really specializes in melee and has no magic. At least not outside of stat buffing himself at the end of the game. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes you could still get unlucky with your agility stats, and he'll attack you twice in a single turn cycle. So you have, like, no hope of just healing anybody. today, Satan. Perfect. Yo, Peace Out Gaming, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome on in, everybody. Hope you had a good stream. Yo, thank you so much for the good luck. What are you up to tonight? Dress, smoke ball, skate, powerboard, 10. It's fine. So yeah, welcome on in, everybody. For those who may not know, I am Teeks88. I've been primarily a SMB3 speedrunner for the past 6 or 7 years, and just recently switched over to my RPG arc. So Lufia and the Fortress of Doom has been one of my most recent projects in recent history. Been doing Lufia runs for close to a year now. So we are in second place for both major categories for the English version. So we're trying to go for world record attempts in any percent retry mode, which is essentially New Game Plus, which allows you to quadruple the amount of experience and gold you get per enemy encounter and boss. So that significantly speeds up the game by, I want to say, about an hour and a half. Also don't have to go out of your way for as many items to sell to have money for equipment and just general items. So yeah, we're pretty much on a very solid pace right out of the gates, so let's see if we can hold on to it for the rest of the game. A lot of the luck that we're going to have to deal with in this game comes down to how many unnecessary enemy encounters you get and how badly the bosses want to be annoying. Since a big part of the challenge is having to fight them under-leveled, so you minimize how much you have to grind. So yeah, we had good Doom Island RNG. We had some pretty good encounter RNG coming out of track. Oops, wrong way. Okay. Yeah, I'm fine getting one encounter on the way to Sharon, since that secures Lufia is going to be at level 2, so we don't have to go out of our way to try to force an encounter when we're on our way to the cabin on the East Mountains. Okay. Nice. Nice clutch. Alright, sounds good, Tones. Hope you have a good night, and thanks for hanging out tonight. I appreciate it. We take those. Great stream tonight, even with the RNG. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a really fun session, PB or not. We'll see if we can close this one out at least. Come on, game. Yo, Arlisle, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome on in, everybody. Hope you had a good stream. Hope the attempts have been treating you well. Yo, thank you for the good luck. We're cooking so far. We'll see how long we can make it last. For those who may not know me, I am Teeks88. I've been a speedrunner for SMB3 for probably close to 8 years now. But as of lately, I've been in my RPG arc, so over the past year, Lufia and the Fortress of Doom has been my main project. I hold second place in both major categories for the English version of this game. So, trying to go for some world record attempts, just chip away at it little by little. Perfect. Couldn't get anything decent out of World 4, too much scam. I totally understand. It's not a marathon, it's the Starbro just getting in the way after 4-4. I know the struggle. I'm sorry to hear, man. Every time I think about trying to come back to SMB3 at some point, I just remember stuff like that exists, along with the clips in World 7. I'm just like, nah, I'm good. At least for a couple more months. But it's always good, like, it's always healthy just to know, like, when you've had your limit for the session and just, you know, take a break when you need to. Normally your World 4 luck isn't all that bad, like, can't complain too much. Yeah. I mean, it could definitely give you a hard time in some fringe situations, but from my experience, it's always like 2, 3, and 6 always give me the worst problems. Especially that damn Starbro when we're talking about Warpless. You and World 6 Starbro have beef? Yeah, I'm sure Stewie could tell you all about that too. You know, it's always funny when it's like hanging out by the rock, like to the east end of 6-5. It has 3 possible places that it can go, 2 of which are safe for you, but it always chooses the damn rock. Or it'll be like right in front of you after you finish 6-4. Every single time. Like, even when I run 100%, just all the extra movements of 4 just add up so quickly. And it's like, I didn't even make an entire mistake this, I didn't make a single mistake this entire world. Why am I losing 8 seconds? It's maddening. Speaking of things that are maddening, I'm going to be coming up on one of the most annoying boss fights in the game in just a couple of minutes. Hence why I renamed Phantasm to Fucktasm. It's one of those bosses where you can be completely prepared for like as much as reasonably possible, and then you can just decide just to spam his most OP attack and just completely wipe out your party in a couple of turns. And what's also doubly as crappy is the fact that you have very limited resources for healing and reviving dead party members. So after a certain point, it's like, you just can't keep up anymore, he'll just like destroy you. Plus, he has a tendency to spam a lot of status effects like Sleep and Confusion that just leave you completely compromised, like, right out of the gates. And there's nothing you can do about it. Like, normally, when you get confused in a typical, like, Final Fantasy, for example, you know, the enemy can hit you, and then you wake up and you come to your senses. In this game, not so much. What do I want to do? I'll try a different formation. It's kind of so probably bombs and high potion, and yeah, that's fine. Speed, spell. Okay. Oh yeah, power gourds. Okay. Now we have all of our optimal menuing for the boss fight. So yeah, in the best case scenario for a fight like this, you want to hope that he sticks to meleeing you with regular attacks. Or he uses a spell called Shield to raise his magic defense. And that's especially good because you don't really need to worry about spells too much because that's not really what his weakness is to begin with. Because we're going to be sticking to just spamming mid-arrows on him and just have Aguro do the melee since he's the powerhouse of the party. So ideally I want to have the party at 11, 10, and 10, so I just need Aguro to get one more level before we head in. And yeah, you'll see that I'm continuously toggling an item called Sweetwater, which is basically like a repellent. So it just reduces the enemy encounter rate by 50%. It could be a little buggy at times though, because sometimes it feels like it's just not doing its job. Still getting enemies every like 3 or 4 steps. But this should do it. Thank you. So yeah, we're gonna give Aguro the Ghost Ring because he has the worst magic defense out of everyone else in the party. So this will give him a little bit of a buff against ghost-type enemies. And it's imperative that we keep him alive for this fight, since he's going to be dealing the most damage. Alright, fingers crossed. Let's lock in. Sure. Okay. Okay, good. Come on. Yes! Let's go! We're in. Finally, a decent Phantasm fight. I mean, we still lost time over PB, but it's whatever, I'll take it. My main man! Thank you for the good luck, Haley. Welcome on in, my friend. Yes, he died again. Oh, but the fun doesn't end here, though. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is still a fantastic start. But Phantasm is the first of 3 annoying bosses, all of which are back-to-back, kind of. So Follower is basically, he's basically a gargoyle that's been terrorizing a little village called Belgian. And in exchange for just not burning the entire town down, he forces the village to offer like 1 woman as a sacrifice every certain amount of time. So we're just going to put an end to that altogether. So if we talk to the NPCs over in this this back tunnel area, she'll explain to you that a girl named Jaren, who is a half-human, half-elf, is pretty much the next victim. So we're just going to tell her that we're going to rescue her now. Yeah, I've been doing quite well, thank you. It's been a very chill, relaxing weekend. Alrighty. So before we reach the pedestal where the sacrificial ceremony takes place, we have to venture through these caves in order to get the key to unlock the door. So no need to explore, we're just going to go exactly for what we need. We're going to pick up some items over here, like the scimitar and these 3 bits of bronze equipment, but they're not really necessary. I mean, they're a decent asset for battle, but we'd be better off just selling them for the extra money that we're going to need. Yes. So warp back to Belgium, then head... So now that we got the key, we're going to do a little bit of a detour before we actually unlock the door. So we're going to go northeast to a little desert village called Serenegal, and we're going to do that, and we're going to go there to do our a little bit of shopping for the upcoming battle with Follower and Dark Ghost. So basically, we want to stock up on high potions to keep ourselves alive, and stock up on 40 big arrows, because that's going to be our main weapon. Because we're going into these boss battles under-leveled, so our regular swords and stuff are gonna do very little damage. So big arrows are disproportionately strong relative to where we are in the game. Okay. "21 high potions, pretty good. Alright, we got what we need. We're out of here. Finished our shopping at 1 hour on the clock. Not bad at all. So we do have one pending time save coming up for this follower split. So basically, follower is going to be holding Jaren captive in a tower northwest of here. And traditionally, I would take a little bit of a detour through the tower in order to pick up 2 items called miracles. And basically they act as a revival for dead party members, and it restores their health and magic at the same time, so it's kind of like a combination Phoenix Down elixir. So we're going to skip that detour, and then just skip the miracles altogether and just go straight to the boss fight, saving at least 50 seconds. It's a bit of a gamble, but we can do it. Since I want to compete with world record, we have to no longer pull our punches. So there's Jaren. Gonna do these restoration pots. And there's our next boss. Flies off, grabs Jaren. Pick up the Flash Ring, which basically raises your attack output and magic defense against lightning-based attacks. So we're going to give that to Aguro, again because of his magic defense stat being abysmal. The only damage the party has is 3 HP from the Toxic Marsh we just crossed. So that's the only thing that's fine. Hopefully we don't get ambushed on the way to the boss. Follower can also be a bit of a piece of shit because he can do sleep effects and confusion as well, just not to the same spammy extent as Phantasm. And even though he has AoE spells, at least we're better equipped to deal with it because we have more high potions in our inventory. Nice, let's go. We are cooking! Kind of a shame that we had to burn a miracle on that follower fight, but it was otherwise pretty fast and pretty minimal enemy encounters along the way. Shopping was pretty optimal. Alright. Just one more pain in the ass boss to get through. Before we do that, we have to navigate past the forest maze. And the only way we can do that is if we have an elf in our party. You never want to get ambushed by archers, because, yeah, those high arrows are no joke. Alright, so Jaren has officially joined our party. And Lufia is jealous. So we need to visit the city of Genova in order to progress the story, because we need to still find out how we're supposed to get to the island of Elfria. And this lady at the bar tells us that there's 3 towers in this area, all of which are different colors, and at the top of them are corresponding pedestals with gems that you need to mount onto them. And then Once you're able to get those 3 jewels, then the path will open for you. So we needed to talk to her in order to open up that progression flag. 2 high potions, okay. So we're just gonna visit Rouen just so that we can create a checkpoint for later on. But yeah, this red tower over here is gonna be where our next boss is. So basically what happened to the city of Rouen is that there was once a flourishing river/creek, and it's been pretty much turned into a toxic marsh. And it's because of the dark ghost that's at the top of this tower that's pretty much impurifying the lake. So, as you can imagine, he's going to be spamming a bunch of water spells at us, quite literally. And we do not want him to use water too frequently, because he could potentially out-DPS us before we have a chance to heal. So we're gonna hope and bank that he banks on doing, at least mixes up a little bit with melees and a spell called Ectoplasm, which drains magic. Which is additionally helpful because, you know, we don't really need magic too much in that fight, since we're going to be sticking to the big arrows and potions. And there it is. Okay, Ectoplasm, that works. We have chance to heal. Yep. Hopefully he doesn't do this too much more. Okay. Don't kill a Garo. Okay. Let's go. So yeah, we got showered on quite a bit, but at least we had enough high potions to get over it. And we saved a pinch of time, so let's go. Thank you, Peace Al. Okay. So for at least the next hour or so, we can we can relax a little bit. We can breathe. We're not quite past the worst yet, but at least we can. At least we have a good while before we're at the next big challenge. So for the next hour or so, we're just going to be doing a lot of fetch quests. So right now, we're going to focus on getting the jewels that we need in order to unlock Lufia at the top of the 3 towers. Alright, so we just got the blue sapphire. And now that Ruan has pure water again, we can use the inn for free, so it's good for restoring our magic before we do anything else. And since we have Jaren in the party, we can start taking advantage of her warp magic to go to where we need to. So next we're going to warp over to Medan, and then get the real Hope Ruby. I just gotta say that when I was a kid playing this casually, I was just so confused on what the hell I was supposed to do at this point. I remember cycling through all 3 towers, just not really realizing that I needed those jewels or not knowing where to find them. And the closest thing that I had to a walkthrough back in the day was just the instruction manual, and even that had very limited information. Genova is the closest location to the blue tower. So our objectives here are to drop off the blue sapphire at the top of the blue tower pedestal, and then pick up the green jade on the way to the green tower. Now we're going to backtrack and get the green jade on the other side of that fork in the road. Damn it. Unfortunately, we're going to have to take the pedestrian route over to Green Tower since there's no nearby warping point to get to it to access it quicker. Thankfully, it's not too long. Unless we get a million enemies. Okay. Now, finally, back to Red Tower. Okay. Pretty close to average. Alright, so now we meet Artia, the elf warrior who fought alongside Maxim and Yang on Doom Island. And he tells us, yeah, I'm unable to fight on against the Sinistrals at this point in time because, yeah, one, I'm getting old, and two, I was blinded after the battle. But if you talk to Professor Ralshaya, perhaps his technology will help you go under the sea so you can get the legendary sword, the Dual Blade. And before we leave, he acknowledges that we have an elf in our party. So he bestows upon her his old bow. And while that sounds like an amazing moment in the story, it's kind of short-lived because we're going to be selling that bow for 10,000 gold. And yeah, the exit to this cave is blocked by a bunch of invisible walls, so just gotta kind of navigate them in a predetermined path. So now we get to the Kingdom of Odell. So first we're gonna sell the bow and then just max out our sweet waters and smoke balls for the rest of the game, and then stock up on all the power gourds we're gonna need until the end. Oh, right. We're good. So we talked to these NPCs over here, and they explained that the bridge that's to the west of here that leads to the village of Arus has been broken down. So you need to talk to the architect Pyron, who hangs out in this castle. And there he is. So he says, I can't repair the bridge alone, so I need you to go to southeast to the village of Leiden and go meet up with my partner who's on his lunch break and bring him back here. So we're gonna do that now. That's what I mean by fetch quests. So yeah, Leiden is pretty much the culinary capital of this game's world. So you're gonna see a lot of kitchens and restaurants here, a lot of aspiring cook students. But yeah, we'll be back here one more time before the run is over. Alright, so we go back to Pyron, we brought his partner over, and now he tells us to go investigate the bridge, see what exactly is wrong with it, so we can prepare our tools accordingly. See, before we go back to Odell, we're going to take a detour to this cave, and it's basically going to serve as a shortcut for Professor Shia's lab. He's not in the lab at this moment in time, but at least we can pass through it to get a warping checkpoint out of it. And the checkpoint is activated as soon as we leave through the normal exit. Alright, so he prepared his tools. He and his partner are heading over there. So back to the bridge we go. So we're going to talk to Pyron, and surely at this point he's going to start building the bridge, right? No, of course it's not going to be that simple. So he wants us to go to the cliff northeast of where the bridge is, and basically act as a supervisor when he's doing his work. So we gotta go all the way to the cliff, watch him build the bridge, then go all the way back to the bridge, and then cross it. And I mean, these are relatively small caves. These cave maps are really not as big as the impression they give. It's just seems to last longer just because of how slow you walk. That's what makes this so tedious. Holy crap, we're making good time. Yeah, I think that everybody who's played Lufia at least once really does not enjoy this bridge chapter. And there's like 4 different entrances you can use in order to access the cave, so I would just get so confused, like as a 12-year-old, just trying to figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do. So I'm gonna attempt to bank on the on reaching the healing node before I need to use any of my healing resources in the menu. Alright, so we reach Arus, and or Arus, I don't know how you pronounce that, but yeah, it looks like Lufia is enamored by the Perfeia flower garden. Before we leave, we'll talk to this old NPC, and he tells us that it's remarkable that Lufia's magic was strong enough in order to open up that spell door, and advises us that we talk to Old Man Flake over to the west at Tower of Grief. Also, on a side note, I think that our encounter rate in the Arus cave was actually pretty good. Maybe with enough luck, we'll actually save a pinch of time. Just want the magic node. So Flake uses his magic to unlock Lufia's full magic potential by raising her max MP by 10. And then tells us that Professor Elshai returned to his labs. Back to Platino we go. Introducing fake Professor Oak. Yeah, always a pain in the ass just with the damage you take from those ambush encounters. Not to mention the amount of time it takes for them to all attack individually. Here's the Falcon, so it's not necessarily in a position to be used for submarine purposes yet, but you can at least use it as a regular boat. We try to test out its underwater capabilities, but the party remarks that it's leaking. So Professor Oak here explains that in order to repair the submarine, we need to take it over to his lab over to the west in Carbis. Yep, Illumina, everybody's favorite part of Lufia and the Fortress of Doom. Just digging through the Fargo Island caves. Probably dealing with the most annoying enemy sets in the game. So before we do make any progress on repairing the ship, Professor Shia says that he needs his assistant Cooper. So we're going to go southwest to the town of Baku, because apparently the cleric there is friends with him and can tell us where we could find him. Oh. Yo, what's up, Boomsticks? Thank you for the good luck. Yep, everything's pretty good over here. Hope all is well with you. All good, just finished up a shed project, nice. What does the shed project entail? Just organizing the stuff that's within it? Tearing of the siding, new panels, caulking and painting. Okay, gotcha. No, sounds good, Boomstick. Sounds like it was a productive day. Always love to hear it. Damn, I lost more time than I thought on that ambush. Encounters got to be a little duty towards the end anyway. 40 seconds, damn. Lost a minute and a half on world record? Jesus. Alright, so in order to convert our ship over to the submarine, we're going to need to collect 7 pieces of alumina. And the first one we're going to collect is in the Kingdom of Herat. But first, before we do that, we're going to enter this town as a checkpoint for other places we'll need to explore on this side of the map. Got stung 3 times discovering a yellow jacket hive in the ground near the project. Holy crap, dude, are you alright? Damn, I don't know how I would have been able to handle that. Alright, so the King of Herat basically told us that he's a picky eater and he would give us all of his crowns and jewels in his vault in exchange for a delicious meal. So we're going to talk to the culinary wizard of Leiden and see if he can whip us up a recipe. So what he basically tells us that, yeah, we'll be, like, the recipe is definitely possible. And we can basically create like a recipe that'll make virtually anything on the face of the earth delicious, even if it's not necessarily good for you. One of the key ingredients I'm going to need is something called a purple newt. So basically that would normally be part of the next fetch quest, but we just grabbed the grilled newt from the bookshelf before entering this area, so we could pretty much trick the game into thinking that we have it already when we really don't. So we skip a bit, basically 10-minute time, trying to fetch that down in the cave. So now that we have the grilled newt, we can go to Herat's kitchen and yeah, make the magic recipe. Alright, so the king thanks us. And now we have access to the vault. So we're gonna have access to a couple of valuable pieces of jewels that we can sell for money, our first piece of alumina, and a couple of weapons and equipment that'll help us later on. There's only 4 chests we're gonna leave behind, and it's basically just junk. Alright, so now we're going to do an RNG manipulation for an enemy called the Red Core. So basically, they're like the metal slimes in Dragon Quest. So they have very high defense, low HP, and a very high evasion rate. But if you're able to kill them, they give a lot of money and experience. So we're going to be grinding those out to get to the level where we need to be, because 16 to 18 ain't going to cut it at this point in the run. Nice. So we're going to do this for 2 more battles. be it. Nice. I did it again. Fuck. please. Yes! Holy shit. Classic 90s Legos train, nice. I was such a huge fan of Legos as a kid, and I bet if I, like, played with them today, I would still really enjoy them a lot. All I know is that once I finally have kids, that's one of many ways I'll be spending quality time with them. They've certainly got really expensive in recent years, too. I don't know if you're familiar with the whole Reckless Ben saga and his ongoing legal case with Bricks and Minifigs, but that's a really crazy story. Oh, shit. Yes. Gotta heal, get our last piece of equipment. Alright, now we prepare for the worst boss fight in the whole goddamn game. Bosun and Pirates. Yo, what's up, Zello? Good to see you. Thank you for the good luck. Certainly gonna need it for this next boss fight. Lego train you bought, despite the missing electric motor and engine and a couple small things, was still 160. Oh, that's not bad. I don't know what the usual rate for it is. Alright, Godspeed. It's gonna be the biggest hurdle in this run. Scurvy scum. Yes. Right. Okay. Mildly annoying, but we can work with it, I guess. And that's a problem. At the very least, I need Lufia awake. Shit. Fucking asshole. Alright, if he's switching to Storm, that means we're getting close. So now the name of the game is just staying alive. Yes! And you can see that I still lost like 3 minutes on Bosun and Pirates versus the world record. So let that be an indication of just how insanely lucky you have to be to just not ever be put to sleep. Alright, so we're past the biggest hurdle of the game. Like, I would actually rank him worse than the Sinistrals. Like, we had a bit of a rough going in the beginning with the sleep effects, but we were able to recover from that, and towards a certain point he just stopped doing it, so we were already in a good position health-wise when he started using the storms. So it was based on past experiences, I knew that I had to double boost to keep myself alive and just let the front line do the rest of the work. I figured after like 2 or 3 turn cycles, we can use Lufia to just finish him off with a bolt. Yo, thanks for the GGs. So before we leave this tower, we're going to get this heavy ring, and that's going to be the last accessory we need for a Goro. Heavy ring will reduce your agility, but in exchange you do really, really heavy damage. And considering he already had pretty bad speed stats to begin with, it's not really going to affect him that much. But we need all of the manpower that we can get for these last few bosses. So we're gonna try a new route to Doom Island. Gonna take the right side instead of the left. So now we are in the Fortress of Doom at the bottom of the ocean. So that's going to be the point where we retrieve the legendary sword, the Dual Blade. So we were able to kill all 6 red cores when we were doing the Manip fights. So that means Jaren's at level 32. So we have the additional advantage of being able to use Mirror to reflect back the fire air when we fight the Oil Dragon. So when we have the mirror activated, we could spend more time attacking and less time on defense healing. Jaren's gonna have her hands tied just trying to maintain the barriers, but at least Lufia is free to use bolts. And hopefully the dragon doesn't use mirror, rendering her useless. Alright, now it's time to get the power oil. It turns out John Romero is actually the true identity of Deus. That's who's really behind the red cloak in the final battle. He was at QuakeCon and he was deathmatching on the stage. Oh, that's awesome. That's cool to know that he's still active in the community. It's been a while since I checked out his YouTube channel, but I think the last thing I watched was his reaction to myhouse.wad, which by the way is an incredible work of art. So I figured I'm going to start throwing up the barriers for Mirror, I think about 2 or 3 turn cycles in. Just trying to anticipate when he's going to start using the stronger Fire Air. Because once those Vulcans hit, they hit really bad. Nice, GG. Hell yeah. That was an amazing oil dragon. Alright, we got our power oil. Now let's get ourselves an airship. Alright, this is the last 10 where we're going to do any shopping. So we're going to get our last bit of equipment. How many miracles do we have? 15. Okay. Okay, we don't need to collect any more miracles and go out of our way for them, so 15 is plenty. we're just gonna pick up the last piece of the last accessory for Jaren. It's gonna be the last stat boost for her. And then we're gonna pass the High Days ring off the hero. Damn, Ifrits are out in full force today. Alright, it's down to the Sinistral fights. Alright, let's do this. Yeah, that succumb spell that he Naseby was spamming is basically 50% chance of instant death. Theos likes to make a good amount of use on that. But thankfully we're going to be using the same mirror strategy against him and all the other spellcasters. Gades is going to be the scariest out of all the Sinistral fights we do because, yeah, we don't really have any proper way of defending against him since he's explicitly melee and he hits like a tank. Alright, so we're going to need X Potions, Miracles, and Power Gourds in our front page of the menu. Power Gourds, Potions. Nice, let's go. Oh, just in time with that mirror. Yeah, whenever he uses Melancholy, it technically skips a turn, but it serves as a warning that he's going to use Chaos, which inflicts confusion on the party. Come on, Miss Jaren. Okay. Yeah, I like how there's a character limit for Melancholy, so it's just Melancholy. Nice. Come on. Almost there. We could potentially save a minute on Gardeos if he's nice to us. So basically, this final fight with Gardeos, he only has a moveset of 2 attacks. Flood and Figule. Figule is basically like Chaos. It just inflicts confusion on the party. So we want to bank on him using Flood as much as possible so we can reflect the damage back at him. That's where the time save is ultimately going to come from. Also, banger alert. Just gonna let Lufia die. God, he's really not doing me any favors. Nice. Wow. Holy shit. Oh my god. Oh my god. I was not expecting to reach 312 this quickly. But oh my god, what a difference from a lot of the other attempts earlier this session and even just earlier this week in practice. Wow. Yo, thank you so much for the GGs, everybody. GG, my baby. Oh, you're right there. So amazing. Thank you so much, sweetheart. I love you. Wow, 312. Holy crap. We're right there. We're closing in on record. Little by little, brick by brick. Yo, Zelo, thank you so much for the resub. Welcome back for 18 months. 312 deserves an 18. Thank you so much. Hee-haw! Yo, thank you, Zelo. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you, Peace Owl Gaming. Zippy. Less than 10 minutes from record. And to think, my first run in any % retry mode, like several months ago, was 5.5 hours. And now we're at low 3 hours. We've come a long way. Yeah, I think at this point I've pretty much mastered the early game, just granted that I have decent enemy encounter rate and, you know, the bosses cut me at least a little bit of slack, but I think that getting more practice in with the late game has really been the key to all these time saves. I think that my love Icarus was definitely had a really good point with just creating a save state with you know, once I get to the what's it called, the follower fight, and then just pretty much going from there. We also really lucked out with having all 6 kills on the Red Core minute fights. So having Jaren learn Mirror very early in time for the Oil Dragon really saved us a lot of grief. So we spent less turns healing and more time just staying on the offense. So that really made a huge difference by at least a minute. I knew I was due for a PB sometime soon, but I didn't know that it was going to be by such a huge margin. I kept telling myself that like a low 3-1x was going to be possible, but I didn't think it was. I wasn't sure if it was going to be tonight of all nights. After all, I do need the game to cooperate with me in some capacity, but we were able to drive it home. Yeah, it got a little scary in the early game because even though we saved a really good chunk of time on Follower, I think he did make us fall asleep on at least one turn cycle, and end up having to burn one of our few miracles trying to revive a Goro. So I was not really sure what my inventory was going to be like going into Dark Ghost, but thankfully we had more than enough high potions to keep ourselves alive, because he was not very nice to us either with all of the water spam. Got showered on at least like 4 or 5 times. Yeah, he gave us just enough melees and ectoplasms in order to actually finish it up without taking any deaths, which was actually really important. I think that the more that I do these runs, like even imperfect ones, I think it's pretty safe to say that making sure everybody stays alive for all of the boss fights is really going to be instrumental in making sure that the Red Core minips go well. Because you could you could do the routing, you could do the inventory stuff, you could do the timing for the to execute the time cycles on the audio cues exactly as you should. But if everybody's agility stats and aren't all synced up with where they should be, then that could play a role in whether they run away or not. And I think to a lesser extent, it also influences the damage rolls on the bombs as well. So yeah, there's still little minute bits of time saved to get all over the place, especially in the first trifecta of bullshit bosses. Still have... We played very close to gold on the Bosun and Pirates fight. I think we were about a minute away from gold, but 3 minutes away from the world record split, so it may be worth seeing where I could still cut down time in terms of skipping treasure chests and stat potions. Maybe I'm still collecting more things than I should because I'm still losing a minute on splits where I really didn't have that many enemy encounters, so I'm not sure if my routing is off or I'm still getting unlucky in other ways, or my routing is off. Maybe I'm exiting towns at longer, like when there's other shortcuts in place. I don't know, maybe it's just like a bunch of small things that are just adding up. Maybe it's not one or two things that are particularly crucial. But one thing's for sure, it may be worth investigating where the remaining time saves are going to be outside of Pirates. Because, I mean, a 9-minute margin between world record and the last PB is not insignificant. Somehow I feel like more than just luck is at play here. We did manage to capitalize on some time saves, at least. Had a really good Guardian. The Fargo Islands was pretty good in terms of enemy encounters, didn't really have to spam too many smoke balls along the way. So that really allowed us to make up a lot of time, and considering we know how easy Guardian is in general, we didn't really have to worry about defending ourselves with healing or anything like that. We could just go and kill him in about 3 turn cycles of just non-stop melee and bolts. So just keep this going until we find out what our final in-game time is, and maybe I can just submit this PB tomorrow. But with that being said, this has been a really incredible streaming session tonight. I didn't expect it to go on as long as it did. But thank you so much to everybody for hanging out tonight and for wishing good luck and offering support. Always appreciate it. Thanks to those who stopped in and rated as well, such as Arlyle, Peace Owl Gaming, Trenton. And thank you for the new subs as well. Shoutouts to Ham, Stewie, my sweetheart Dorothy Girls, and Zelo. Get some rest, man. Thanks. You deserve it. You earned it. Thank you so much, Zelo. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for the hype train level 1. But yeah, everybody, I think this is going to be a good place to call it now. So, not sure when my next set of Lufia attempts is going to be, because I think that this is going to be a pretty high bar to beat. So if I'm going to continue grinding away, it may be a good idea just to go in there with a plan. But if I end up having time to stream before I start looking into some more strategies, then maybe I'll switch gears over to maybe some casual FF9, maybe switch over back to Final Fantasy VI, all espers and characters. It really just depends on what my availability is and what I feel like doing. Still have a lot of rando seeds that I want to do across FF6, SMB3, maybe SMRPG. Maybe I'll switch over to some older speedruns that I haven't touched in a while. So there's no shortage of things that we can use for content. So hope everybody will be around when that occasion comes. Have a good rest tonight. Don't want to ruin a good vibe. Yo, thank you so much, Zippy. Hope everybody else has a good night as well. And catch you all again soon. Not sure when the next stream is going to be. I'm just going to fire up whenever I have the opportunity. So hope to catch you then. So we'll see who we can raid, and we'll be signing off. Any RPG streamers? I know who we can raid. Looks like an old friend of mine from the SMB3 community, Ibuba7. He's playing some Dark Souls 2 tonight. So let's pop in and wish him well. Alright, take care, everybody. Oh, I want to see the in-game time. 3:10. Okay.